In a modest house, the kitchen is busy in the morning.
Breakfast is ready. Zach, Marie, honey.
The wife puts plates on the table for her kids and husband. It's a normal morning with everyone getting ready for the day. The kids, dressed for school, come into the kitchen and sit down to eat.
Good morning, Mom.
The husband comes in, grabs his phone from where it was charging, and puts it in his briefcase.
I'm running late, honey. I'm not going to have time to eat breakfast this morning.
Oh, I thought today was your late day.
Oh, I thought so too. Unfortunately, the office called and my 2 o'clock meeting is being pushed up to 11. I must get to the office now to prepare.
The wife walks with her husband to the door, runs back to kitchen to grab coffee and bag lunch off the counter.
Well, at least take the coffee and the lunch I made for you.
They say goodbye with a quick kiss.
Thank you, baby. You always know what I need. I'll be home as soon as I can.
The husband hurries to his car. The wife watches him leave, smiling and waving. As the car leaves, she closes the front door. On his drive, the husband's cell phone starts to ring through the car speaker. Name, Dr. Ross, pops up on the caller ID.
Hello, good morning. You're speaking to Alfred Smith.
Hello, Mr. Smith. Do you have time to speak about your condition?
I sure do. Matter of fact, I'm on my way to you for treatment.
Well, then you should get here quickly so you can get the antidote. The poison is spreading fast, and I need to suck it out to stop further contamination.
I'm 10 minutes away. Do I have enough time?
Barely, but I'll make sure you survive. When you get here, come to the 3rd floor, room 210. The passcode is 6579. I'll be waiting for you.
Dr. Ross hangs up before he could say anything. He looks both anxious and excited as he drives to Dr. Ross's house. He pulls up to Dr. Ross' residence. Someone photographs the husband entering the building, knocking on the room door, and a beautiful woman pulling him inside. The photographer is also able to take a few photos of the sexual misconduct outside of the building, through the 2nd-story window. After he kisses Dr. Ross goodbye and leaves the building, he returns to his car and proceeds to drive to work. Dr. Ross prepares to meet her next client. She hears a knock at the door, checks the clock and notices it is early.
One moment, please. You're pretty early.
Without checking, Dr. Ross swings the door open, and she is greeted by a hooded figure wearing a monstrous mask. Before she can say a word, Dr. Ross is punched in the nose and immediately knocked out. Dr. Ross awakens to the sound of classical music. She looks around and notices she has been tied to a chair with 2 bottles filled with liquid in front of her. She has a needle stuck inside her veins on both arms. The room is grey, cold, and dark. There is only a small light coming from a lamp swinging right above her. She gets scared and starts screaming.
Help me!
The banana killer responds in a distorted voice.
Good evening, Dr. Ross. I think it's funny to hear a person trained to help in stressful situations, begging for help in a stressful situation.
The banana killer laughs.
It shows a profession that is supposed to make people think better, act better, be better. But how can this be achieved if you don't even make better decisions yourself? You're a fraud.
What are you talking about? I haven't done anything wrong to anyone.
You haven't done anything wrong to anyone?
The banana killer laughs.
Do you believe Vanessa Smith, the wife of Alfred Smith, would agree?
Vanessa, Alfred, what do you mean? Did Vanessa plan this?
Vanessa doesn't have the courage to confront the nail tech who consistently messes up on her nails, let alone the woman who is consistently creeping with her husband. Let's call this karma. This is the payment for the decisions that you have made. You chose to mess with a married man. You chose to come between a husband and wife. You chose to risk your career for sexual gratification. You chose to be a whore. So today you get to choose how you will die. However you choose is and will purely be your decision.
What do you mean? I do not want to make any choices. I do not want to choose anything.
Well, Dr. Jessica Ross, choosing to do nothing is also a choice that will also cost you. See, before you woke up, you were injected with a rare poison. A poison that will eventually eat you from the inside out. You have 48 hours before your stomach, liver, kidneys, and then your heart is corroded. In front of you are 2 valves. Each valve is connected to an IV that has been placed in each arm. One IV contains acid, the other a deadly amount of fentanyl. One IV will kill you in a matter of seconds. The other IV will allow you comfort as you slowly corrode from the inside out. Unfortunately for you, there is no antidote for your condition, only death. See, Jessica, your life choices have led you to me, and for the choices you have made, I feel no sympathy, just like you felt no sympathy fucking someone else's husband. You are paid for your decision-making skills. Well, your last decision will be how you choose to die, and choose wisely. Regardless, I will be back in 48 hours to clean up the mess.
The banana killer walks away and slides a big green door shut. Then Jessica begins to cry hysterically, tries to pull herself from the restraints and screams at the top of her lungs. She cannot budge, and she knows no one can hear her. She examines the valves. Then she feels a deep pain within her stomach. She cringes and throws up blood. She knows the poison is working, but she cannot decide which valve to choose. She continues to look at both valves, scared to pull the pin. She looks at the clock hanging on the wall and notices it's 4 p.m. She sits there until she falls asleep. Jessica wakes up screaming. The poison is in full effect. She looks at the clock. It's 10 p.m. Her stomach is cramping unbelievably. It's becoming hard to sit still. She releases her bowels onto herself. She throws up blood. She cries hysterically. She wants to choose the fentanyl. She'll do anything to ease the pain.
Which valve is the fentanyl? I cannot take this pain. Jesus, help me.
Jessica throws up blood again. She releases her bowels again, but this time it is blood. She chooses the right valve. She reaches and grabs the pin. The fluid slowly enters the tube and travels to her vein. She chose the valve of acid. The acid pours into the veins of Jessica. She begins to scream as her left arm begins to dissolve from the inside out. Her arm, where the needle was inserted, painfully dissolves. Her left arm dissolved so much, she was able to pull her arm from the restraint. Unable to use the dissolved arm to remove the other restraint. She uses her teeth and pulls herself free. Rips out the IV from her right arm. She tries to walk, but the poison has rendered her legs weak. Her stomach is in so much pain, she vomits blood again as she falls to the ground. She slides her body, the best she could, towards the door, grabs the handle and notices it is locked. Jessica cries, screams, and rolls around in agony. A hiker running on an abandoned hiking trail with her dog. The dog takes off, running into the woods.
Jordy, get back here, Jordy.
The hiker chases her dog into the woods, and with her dog stumbles upon a mutilated body. She screams and throws up, grabs her dog, runs and calls 911. Detective John Henchins arrives at the autopsy office. Dr. Swan is conducting the autopsy with a look of horror on his face.
A crazy scene we found, Doctor. What happened to this body?
I've never seen anything like this before. There are 2 types of poison inside this lady. One is very rare, septic sactone. The other is oxalic acid. She didn't stand a chance, and she died a painful death. What I found stranger was a full banana with no signs of acid, basically fresh lodged within the victim's throat. It looks as if after death, this banana was stuffed down her esophagus. No prints have been found on the body, but I did find semen. I had to use dental records to identify the victim as Jessica Ross, a psychiatrist from Long Beach. She must have been targeted by one of her patients. Only a sick individual would do something like this to a person.
Leave the suspects to me, Doctor. I'll do whatever it takes to bring this sick bastard to justice.
Then Detective Henchins angrily walks away.